USA!
His painted, horned-covered face is one of the lasting images of January 6th. Nearly 4 months to the day after his initial court appearance, the defense attorney for Jacob Chansley, a.k.a. the QAnon shaman, asked for a psychological examination of his client, saying the continued isolation in jail has, quote, taken a toll on him. Prosecutors seemed skeptical at the timing, but did not oppose the request. And the judge has now ordered that competency evaluation, which will determine whether the QAnon shaman is, quote, presently suffering from a mental disease or defect, rendering him mentally incompetent to stand trial.
Do you believe that mental illness helped drive the events of January 6th?
So I think it's an excellent question. And the distinction I like to make is between mental illness and conspiratorial thinking.
Dr. Zeev Cohen is a forensic psychiatrist who testifies on the mental competency of defendants, but is not involved in any Capitol riot cases. He says in the case of the QAnon shaman, the question facing the judge will be whether Chansley is truly mentally ill or just driven to alleged criminal acts by conspiracy theories.
Because there is a lot of case law and statutory law that says that, certain types of mental illnesses reduce your criminal responsibility under certain circumstances. But if someone doesn't have a diagnosed mental illness or a history of mental illness, and it's really just the conspiracy theory that motivated their behavior, I think we just don't have, the statutory or case law that would support a conspiracy theory reducing your criminal responsibility.
Landon Copeland, who's charged with throwing a fence at police during the siege, is scheduled to undergo a psychological examination tomorrow after Copeland went on a profanity-laced tirade during what was supposed to be a routine status hearing on his case. Court documents show if Copeland is found not competent to stand trial, he could be transferred to a mental facility for further examination and treatment. The attorney for another Capitol riot defendant blamed his alleged actions January 6th on watching too much Fox News Network, saying his client had fallen victim to Foxitis, although that man's attorney has yet to suggest he is not mentally competent to stand trial.
What the courts have to deal with is how do you look at someone who may have committed a criminal offense, but who also is driven by conspiratorial thinking, and how do you then both think about what punishment is appropriate, but also think about rehabilitation? Because ultimately, our criminal justice system is aimed not just at punishing, but also at public safety and at rehabilitation.
Cohen told me that judges do have some discretion at sentencing to adjust a sentence based on whether or not they're sympathetic to a defendant who's found guilty being influenced by conspiracy theories or mental illness. And he's going to be watching whether some of these sentences of people found guilty are in fact influenced by those factors. Zoe, back to you.